I call Kelvin Davis.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Mr Chair, in debating the title and commencement clause of this bill, there's really only one alternative title that should be considered, and that is the Foreshore and Seabed Act Part Mark II, because this bill is no different or substantial. There's no substantial difference between this bill and the previous bill, the Foreshore and Seabed Act of 2004. The only real difference is that Māori will have access to courts. But the Māori Party are confusing access to courts with access to justice. And Māori do not feel that they have access to justice. That is why we had a hikoi today that turned up on the grounds of Parliament, the Parliament grounds, because there's a significant number of Māori who do not feel that they have access to justice because of this bill. So it's a Clayton's repeal. It's the repeal you have when you're not really repealing anything. The right to go to court and the right, or the access to the courts and the access to justice are two totally different things. So this is the best that the Māori Party could do. This is the best that they could do. They can get Māori going to court, but they can't get guaranteed justice because the tests that Māori have to jump through, the hurdles they have to jump over, are too difficult and are not going to actually get them what they believe they deserve. So, Mr Chair, this bill, it is a Clayton's bill. It is Foreshore and Seabed Mark II. So, now that the Māori Party have ticked this off their list, what's next for them? Because they've put all their energy into this bill. It's a bill that's basically torn them asunder. What's next? Because our people out there have more issues. We don't want to be relitigating this every 3 years. And I just want to read out what was reported on the 8th of September 2010. The Māori Party will not rule out using post-election negotiations to try to get a better deal on the foreshore and seabed, despite agreeing to support the National Party's new law. So what they're saying is that post-elections, they're going to be dredging this up again, dredging it up over and over again every 3 years. And Mr Chair, Māori have had enough of relitigating these types of issues. It is time for us as Māori to move forward, not to keep bringing this type of issue up over and over again. John Key said, to quote, John Key said he believed it was a lasting solution to the matter and would not be revisited. Well, we've heard Te Orurua Flavel say this bill was the best the party could negotiate in the circumstances, and it was possible there would be another time for our people to come back and have another go in the future. So we have missed an opportunity, Mr Chair. We've missed an opportunity to settle this issue once and for all, and instead we have the future prospect of coming back every 3 years to relitigate it, to raise it over and again, when we can't afford as Māori to do this. We need to be focusing on the issues that are really hurting Māori, such as the Māori unemployment. Now, under the national government, of which Tauhina is so proud about, Māori unemployment has gone backwards. New Zealand's gone backwards. What is the Māori Party and the National Party going to do about Māori teenage pregnancy rates, or Māori suicide rates, or Māori incarceration? These are the issues that we need to be debating and making decisions for, so that our people can rise up from the bottom of the pile and actually be at the top of the pile where we deserve. So, Mr Chair, I ask the Māori Party, now that they've ticked this issue off their to-do list, what's next? What is it that's really going to move us forward as a people? We've heard about whānau order, and in Select Committee I asked the question, so what exactly is whānau order going to change? What is it going to improve? What's the baseline data we have now? What are we going to see in 5 years' time to show that whānau order is making a difference? And the officials could not answer the question. They don't know exactly what whānau order is going to address. They've got no idea. They don't know how much it's going to improve by. All they know is that this undefined problem, Mr. Chair,
Davis.
The undefined problem is going to be improved by an undefined amount. They don't know who's going to do it or who's going to do what. All they know is it's going to cost $134 million over 4 years. It's a bit like Tariana Turia announcing that she's going to build a bridge. She doesn't know where the bridge is going to start, where it's going to end, how long it's going to be, how many lanes wide it needs to be, what it's going to be constructed of. All she knows is it's going to cost $134 million. And so, Mr. Chair, I ask the Māori Party, now that they've ticked this off their to-do list, for now, what is the next item on their to-do list? How are they going to actually help lift Māori off the bottom of the pile? How are we actually going to move ahead as a people? Because we deserve better from this House. We shouldn't be relitigating this type of issue over and over again. We need to be focusing on those issues that are actually that are hurting Māori. And so, Mr. Chair, that's my question for the Māori Party. This bill should have only one name, and that is the Foreshore and Seabed Mark II. It's the bill that just repeats what's gone on in the past. It doesn't give Māori access to justice, which is what the crowd today was marching for. All it does is give them access to the courts, but it means that the hurdles that they jump are no different, and so really the result is no different. But Mr. Chair, I just want to bring up the issue about the wāhi tapu again. Now, John Boscawen's mentioned the wāhi tapu once more, and I struggle to see how many wāhi tapu are going to be, or have the potential to be excavated, as we heard today, when these wāhi tapu that we're talking about are all below the high tide mark. There may be wāhi tapu that have eroded into and become part of the marine and coastal area, the common marine area, but I can really only think of one wāhi tapu that it wouldn't be eroded, and that's the example I raised of the Mātātua Waka, sitting somewhere out in Tako Bay. That I would consider to be a wāhi tapu. Whoever's going to drive their digger out there and excavate it, or whoever's going to have a picnic I don't understand what the concerns are with this bill actually preventing people from walking along the coast, walking along the beach, walking into wāhi tapu. If the Honourable Tau Henare was listening, I'm actually backing his party's line up here. I'm actually... I'm backing the Honourable Tau Henare's bill up here, in that I don't see what the hysteria from the likes of the Coastal Coalition is that there's going to be so many wāhi tapu along the coastline that are going to prevent people from actually accessing the beach, because what we're talking about here is the area below the high tide mark, and it seems to be wāhi tapu have seemed to be brought in that they're all going to be in the sand dunes, and people are going to be prevented from walking across the sand dunes. So to me it's a nonsense, it's a bit of a red herring, and it's just one of those issues that are being raised to generate fear and loathing about Māori throughout New Zealand. So, Mr. Chair, I have to also just take issue with this whole point that Mr. Boscawen was making, that people have been able to fish in particular areas and swim in particular areas, so that it's not been exclusive. So it sounds like what he's wanting is for Māori to have actually excluded people since 1840 from areas of the coast, in which case Māori would be bagged by all and sundry if we had been exclusive. If we had blocked areas off, we would have been hammered by mainstream New Zealand for actually not allowing people onto the beach. Now, because of our generosity, we've been slammed, and the argument's been undermined that because of Māori generosity, Māori allowing people access to the foreshore and seabed, that somehow now we shouldn't be allowed to actually have that exclusivity clause in it. So I actually just think that what the Honourable John Boscawen is saying is actually at odds with what he wants in the future. He's saying that if in the past Māori had been exclusive and prohibited people from accessing the foreshore and seabed, fishing and swimming in particular places, well then we'd have a right to now exclude people. And I don't really see the logic of that argument. I think that Māori have been handicapped in this argument through our generosity in allowing people to have rights to the foreshore and seabed.
The Honourable Chris Finlayson.
Can I thank